I honestly couldn't ask for a better weather for today's episode. Just the fact that it's sprinkling, it's really cold, it's windy, and obviously very cloudy. It just fits the mood for today's video, so stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Harmon. Today's episode features a fictional character named Slenderman. Many of you guys may have seen or heard of not only Slenderman, but the Slenderman stabbing that happened here in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Two 12-year-old girls named Morgan, Geyser and Anissa Weier stabbed their 12-year-old friend 19 times. Their friend was 12-year-old Payton, and they stabbed her again 19 times in order to appease, get this, they wanted to appease Slenderman, the fictional character. The two girls, Anissa and Morgan, thought that in order to gain Slenderman's approval, to let them into his world, they had to sacrifice someone. And so they chose to try to sacrifice their friend, 12-year-old Payton. Thankfully, Payton survived, but this whole episode is going to be interesting, guys, so stay tuned. In these woods behind me is where Morgan and Anissa stabbed Payton. Now, it took me like an hour or so to figure out exactly where the house was where they were hanging out at, and also the woods where she was stabbed. So the woods here are only about a quarter of a mile from Morgan Geyser's house, and basically that is where they left to come to the woods here. This is the only area near Morgan Geyser's house that basically is like where the woods are, and so I don't know exactly where in the woods she was stabbed, somewhere in here. Let's get into the details. It's honestly quite shocking. So on May 31st, 2014, 12-year-olds Morgan, Geyser, Anissa Weier, and of course 12-year-old Payton Leutner were all hanging out, having like a slumber party at Morgan Geyser's house. And again, that's not that far from the woods here. On that day, they were hanging out. They went to like a skating rink. They went to get some food and ice cream because it was Morgan's birthday, and so they wanted to celebrate by hanging out with, of course, Anissa and their friend Payton. Unbeknownst to Payton, Morgan and Anissa brought her there specifically because they wanted to kill her. Morgan, Anissa, and Payton were all really good friends, and so that is what's making this even more just bizarre, and the fact that Payton was one of their friends. They all hung out together almost every week. They all went to each other's houses for sleepovers and whatever else. But because Morgan and Anissa had this in their mind that they should try to appease this fictional character named Slenderman, they decided that Payton was their perfect choice. Someone that, you know, they would never suspect anything. Someone who was small and would not put up much of a fight. So after all three girls were hanging out, they went to the ice rink and again had some food and ice cream and all that. Later on in the day, they were going to make their move. But they decided to move the planned murder the next morning. They spent the night together, all three of them, in Morgan Geyser's house. They got up the next morning and they all decided that they wanted to go to a park nearby, which is called David's Park. And David's Park, again, is less than a quarter mile away from Morgan's house. From the park there, they decided they wanted to go into the nearby woods, which is where I am right now, and they wanted to do some sort of game like hide and go seek with Payton. Eventually, Morgan and Anissa basically tackled Payton down to the ground and held her down. Anissa and Morgan kept going back and forth saying, I need you to kill her, or I need you to stab her first, because I'm too scared. They kept going back and forth, and then finally Morgan said, I'll do it, but you need to tell me when. So Anissa apparently started walking away, and she yelled, now. And so Morgan unleashed her rage, or whatever you want to call it, and stabbed poor little Payton 19 times. Initially, they told Payton that they would run and go get help for her. They never did. They basically just left her to die in the woods, which is behind me. All the stab wounds she had, all of them barely missed vital organs. She had several stab wounds that nearly pierced her heart. She was extremely lucky. She had to crawl out of the woods to the road there and tried to get help. And thankfully a cyclist was riding his bike nearby, stopped, and of course called 911 and got help for her. So meanwhile, while Payton is basically bleeding to death from all the stab wounds, Anissa and Morgan both snuck away. They initially went to the local Walmart to try to clean off their clothes and their hands and all that from all the blood. That didn't quite work out though. They didn't get it all off because of course blood stains. So they decided to keep on moving. Eventually police found them 5 miles away at a furniture store called Steinhoffel's. So they walked reportedly about 5 miles before they were finally apprehended. Anissa and Morgan's goal was to hike about 65 miles north of here to where they thought Slenderman's castle was, in the middle of like a national forest. They thought that Slenderman's castle was in the woods farther up north in Wisconsin, and that was their goal. They were going to hitchhike and try to get all the way to his castle. And I just can't fathom, well, what? That is what they said. That is what they believed. Of course, they never made it that far. They only made it about 5 miles. And of course, were caught. But what a bizarre and weird case. This is one that I've been looking forward to, an aspect of the fact that it's just so weird. I was like, I just have to film this. Anyway, so I'm going to show you where Morgan Geyser's house is. I'm going to show you where they were apprehended, and of course show you a little bit more of the woods behind me. Now, again, I don't know exactly where she was stabbed at, because that would be basically impossible, but what I do know is the crime scene photos that I saw online, it shows blood splattered on really thin pine trees, and there's a bunch of those around. Basically, it happened somewhere in these woods here. This cross and the seating area, it just really gives this whole area like a little just kind of creepy vibe, just because this is like where the stabbing happened, in the woods right here. And I don't know, just it's a gloomy day, it's an eerie looking day, it's windy, it was sprinkling earlier. I don't know, just all of it combined with the cross and everything else here, it just gives it a very kind of, I don't know, just it makes me feel like jittery. I don't know, it's just kind of creepy. All right, so like I mentioned, about only a quarter mile away, or not even, is David's Park, and this is where I am right now. So after Morgan, Anissa, and Payton left the apartment complex, which is over there, they came over here, initially hung out for a little bit, I believe, and then they headed behind me to where the woods are. So this was kind of like their first stop, hanging out with Payton, probably just chilling out, doing whatever they were doing, and then they somehow lured Payton to the woods, just to play games, I guess, in the woods, and Payton followed along. I'll walk over and show you where Morgan's apartment was. It was about 4 or 5 apartment complex buildings this direction. So, you know, it's only a couple minutes walk to the park, and then it's another 5 minutes or so to the woods, just to kind of give you a reference. So my guess is Morgan, Anissa, and Payton probably walked the same pathway, because this pathway goes all the way through the apartment complexes. There's a couple in this area, and this is like the main pathway through the middle. So this is the quicker, easiest way to get to the park. So they probably took this path that I'm walking on. Gosh, poor Payton. She had no clue. She had no idea that her two best friends were plotting to try to kill her. I mean, I don't think anyone would really suspect one of their best friends to do that. But man, just a sad thing. Again, thankfully Payton survived. That is the main thing. She made a full recovery. And I read that as of this year, she's planning on attending a college somewhere nearby. As that was 6 years ago, she was 12, so now she's about 18. She's doing well, which is great. Not so great for Morgan and Anissa. I'll fill you guys in on what they have going on. All right, so as mentioned earlier, only a couple minute walk from here at the apartment complex to the park. So it's the apartment complex behind me. So all 3 girls left the apartment, came towards me, and then headed off to the pathway here. And again, it goes all the way back down to the park. All right, so Anissa Weier, I could be pronouncing her last name wrong this whole time. Anissa Weier. You guys let me know, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But anyway, so Anissa Weier, she was sentenced to 25 years in a state psychiatric facility. Again, the police drummed up a lot of evidence at the respective homes. They found a lot of just bizarre drawings in both of the girls' journals, and they just figured that both girls were just certifiably mentally messed up. That is what she got. Morgan Geyser received 40 years in a state psychiatric facility. Again, she was the actual one who stabbed Payton 19 times. But of course, Anissa was urging her to do it. So again, they both received a lot of time in a psychiatric facility. So Morgan and Anissa walked 5 miles to this Steinhoffel store. Again, they went to Walmart in town first to try to wash off the blood and stuff like that. It didn't really work out. They still had stains and stuff on them from the blood. For whatever reason, they stopped here at Steinhoffel's furniture store, really close to Interstate 94 next to me. It just says police apprehended them here at the store. So I don't know exactly if they meant to stop here for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But again, their ultimate goal was, of course, 60 to 80 miles north, where supposedly Slenderman's castle is located in the woods in the national forest. I don't know what they would have done if they went all the way up there and found out that, of course, there is no such thing as Slenderman or his castle. I don't know what they would have done by then, but at least they were caught, and the rest is history. Alright guys, so this is Nicollet National Forest. This is the forest that they were trying to get to, there where supposedly Slenderman lives in a house in the middle of the woods. I just figured I'd stop and show you the forest real quick, just to kind of show you where the girls were heading to. Again, this is about 300 miles north. So obviously they were trying to hitchhike super far to this national forest. Also, there's a lot of ticks around here, so I'm not going to try to go too terribly far. But I just found some random seating area. Alright guys, so just a little tour through the forest. Again, I can't really show you much since there is no Slenderman or his supposed mansion in the woods. But anyway, just wanted to show you the national forest where the girls were trying to head to, just to kind of complete the story. So, alright guys, so I'm heading out of here. Again, this was just a really bizarre case. I mean, I just have not ever seen much similar cases like this before. This was like a very bizarre one on its own. So anyway, if you guys are new around here, I do crime-related content on this channel, and so if you like that kind of stuff, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the little bell next to it. It's free, and it'll let you know when I upload next, which is going to be always on Monday and Fridays. So you know when the next video will be out, and I'm sticking with the crime-related content, so if you like that, stick around. Anyway, heading out. See you guys soon. Again, my name's Harmon. I'll see you guys on the next one. See you soon.